New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Hello, and welcome to Rockin the Love. I'm Robyn.
And I'm Gil, and we are happy to be with you on this Wednesday afternoon as we normally are. Actually, Robyn's more happy to be with you than I am, clearly, because she's hogging the whole screen. What's that about? All right. We're grateful that you've joined us today, and we're just happy to spend this time with you.
We are. Happy.
Happy.
So we're coming to you live from Albuquerque, New Mexico, here in the desert, where today the temperature has risen to a lovely 66 degrees. It says that it dropped, or it's going to drop. It's going to drop later this week, but 66 degrees is darn hot.
Well, yesterday was close to 80, so, finally. So it's been unseasonably warm. Which isn't all bad. It's kind of nice.
So we're happy. Hello, Cindy Edelson. Welcome, Rev Cindy, and welcome to all of you out there. Let us know where you're watching from and tuning in from, and join us in the chat today. We're going to be talking about a dark topic.
Ooh, that sounds ominous.
It does. And the metaphysics of it. It's a big surprise to not only my husband, but also to our producer, because we didn't talk about it. So it's like a surprise party. So we're going to keep you in the lurch for just a little longer so I can remember the title. But basically, we're going to be talking about the metaphysics of depression. Some people think when you say things like depression, that's not metaphysical. But we're going to talk about it and what it is and what it means and what it does and all those good things. So stick around for that. In the meantime, it's been a heck of a week. How's your week been?
Oh, I don't know. 12 hours a day, 18 days a week. It's been busy. It's been a lot.
I was going to say 12 hours a day. How come you're taking time off?
It's been very full, very active, very satisfying in many ways, and gosh, also flagging the places in me where I go, I am just plain tired. So that's why I came home last night and I was like, nah, I'm going to bed. It's
kind of like God. Is there a place in you that's not?
Yeah.
Where is not tired? It's been, so, but amidst it all, I just want to point out, if you look behind us, even though it's not the most picturesque thing, you can see that the desk is built. We are actually on my new desk. It's so exciting. And if I wanted to, I could stand up and raise it up.
I think what she means is that you can't see the parts of the desk that were on the couch because they're underneath the computer. There you go. They're being used as an actual desk now. It's exciting.
There you go. So it's been busy. Gil's move center has moved. And man, if you think moving a house is interesting, things come out of the woodwork that are in an old center. Like, where did that come from?
And when was that used? And what was that for?
And what is that?
And why do we need it? And do we need it? who thought that was pretty, and all kinds of questions.
And every time you go to throw away something, someone who's been there longer than you goes, no, that's a really important donation from a family that blah, 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 blah. And then you're like, okay. And you put it somewhere else. So it's very challenging to get rid of things. However,
we've done an incredible job.
And it did save the refrigerator.
That's true.
I told them, me and other people told them, we had two refrigerators. and they were going to leave one there. And they're like, no, because you've got to leave the appliances you bought. Da, 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 da. Well, at the 11th hour, after the moving truck had gone and everything, the former minister, who we love, Miss Reverend Martha Quintana, somebody called her and she's like, oh no, that refrigerator was donated. Bingo. Nothing that a nonprofit likes better than to hear that word donated. So we rushed over and got the refrigerator. So we have two refrigerators. Very happy about that. It's the little things, Who thinks that their churches are thinking about the refrigerator, but yet here we are on the back end thinking about the refrigerator. So there you have it. So welcome, Shay. And what happened to the beer taps?
Yeah, well, we had a big storeroom in the old place, and we could hide it back there, but we don't have that same luxury here. So we had to let those go.
I thought I saw Michael Mangus at the garage sale we had, the moving sale, buying that stuff. I'm pretty sure there's a brewery opening in Ohio, in an undisclosed bunker. So just keep on lookout. Anyway, enough of our shenanigans. That is the good news, but we've got even more good news, which is a good time in the world to have it. So here we go. What's your good news this week?
Well, my good news is good bacteria. That's my news. That there are researchers who are training. This is the other thing I find fascinating. Training bacteria to consume tumors from the inside out. Wow. So there's a particular kind of bacterium which generally can only grow in environments with no oxygen. But the interior of a cancerous tumor has no oxygen because it's simply dead cells. Because as it grows, there's no longer blood flow. So they put the bacterium into the middle of the tumor. It eats its way out to the edges until it starts to find oxygen, and then it dies off. Now, they're doing adjustments with it to help so that it can continue further out toward the edges, because obviously if it stops consuming too soon, then the tumor continues to grow. So they've done various things to get it so it will tolerate a certain amount of oxygen for a period of time, at which point then it will actually trigger the effect of not being able to survive oxygen, so that it then dies off and disappears out of the body. So anyway, it's just the idea for me that, one, we can do that kind of stuff. Two, that the natural world actually provides all the stuff we need. We're just discovering different ways to apply it and utilize it. So I'm excited about it, and I thought it was a cool thing. So just a few researchers in Canada, and this has some big promising outcomes in the future.
That's fantastic. I think that's amazing. And you are witnessing a first here on Rockin the Love after 3 years, 4 years. How long have we been here? We have had the same news story.
Oh my gosh. This has never happened.
This has never happened. But that was my news story as well. So we're just going to have to go with that this week. That's good. And our move is good. And good things are happening in life. Crazy, right? Anyway, so yes, the show is live and unrehearsed, and there is absolutely minimal format. So there you go. We surprised each other. So good news is we're going to not go away. However, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back here on New Thought Media Network in just a minute to talk about the metaphysics of depression. So join us here on New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hefferland Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center, Ottawa, Olmstead for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be you. Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk, Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Unity of Garden Park, New Thought Philadelphia, the Sunshine Cathedral, Unity of Savannah, and the Om Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network.
Hello, we're back, and this is Rockin the Love. I'm Robyn.
And I'm Gil. And we've been watching Newsroom recently, so we're just practicing the papers on the desk. It's kind of fun. So today we're going to talk a little bit about depression. And what's interesting about the topic is I think that, first of all, we don't like to talk about it. Do you like to talk about it?
It doesn't bother me.
Oh, it doesn't bother me. I forget. Robyn is unfazed by most everything. So I think many people don't like to really talk a lot about it because it does carry a certain amount of stigma sometimes, depending on what the deal is, and because it's, I don't know, I think it's not a fun thing to go through, so people don't generally want to talk about the not fun things they do in their life. So, various factors like that contribute to it.
Yeah, and I think you have experienced depression, and I don't really experience depression. I mean, I've never, pretty much never. I'm sure there was a boy sometime in my life that made me want to stay in bed for days, not in a good way, but with the covers over my head by myself crying. But other than that, I don't experience it like as a thing where I can't get up and do things and where it really consumes my life.
Yes, whereas I've had that experience.
Yes.
However, I continue to have depression from time to time, but it's not in that kind of an extreme. However, perhaps depression isn't all bad.
Yeah, I just want to say that Shay says that we're funny today. We're funny today. That's because our show's on depression. That's funny. I think that's an interesting thing. So yeah, and then there's the brewery. Okay, so yeah, maybe it's not all bad. I mean, how can it be bad if it's all good?
Right.
And I think this is where the thing happens in metaphysics where people want to, it's all good in a way. They want to, oh, don't be depressed. Life is good. The sun's shining and, whatever, all those things. And that's not really, that's not really what we want to do, because depression is a real experience. It's a human experience. And I think, if we believe what we say, everything shows up to teach us something, to reveal something, to let us open up to the greater yet to be. Are you pondering that, or?
I'm just agreeing with you. Just shaking my head, yes.
Okay. So yeah. So how can depression be understood metaphysically?
I don't know. How might one look at it from a metaphysical standpoint?
I think that if you look at it not as a diagnosis, just like, we tend to not look at much of anything as a diagnosis, other than, it's a symbol, it's an awareness, right? And it's a consciousness experience, right?
Let's let Shay help us out.
How you looked at it.
She says depression is a message just like any other emotional experience. It sucks when one doesn't know this. And I might add, sometimes it even sucks when they do. But yeah, it's a message, and it's a pain in our body of sorts. It's a pain in our emotional, mental body. Just as, when we've strained our ankle and we need to rest it, we have pain in our ankle, and it's time to shift something to allow our ankle to fully come back to its full strength. And I think depression is very similar to that. At least, common daily type depression, if there is such a thing. But, every day, once in a while, feeling a little depressed is, go ahead, you had some interesting stuff on there about it.
So Michael says it's a dark night of the soul, and don't go through it alone, which is wise. Definitely don't go through it alone, and don't poo-poo it away either. If it gets worse or if it feels worse, make sure you're talking to somebody, calling somebody. I think that it's basically, I think if we say, I was going to say, Michael, could you look up what Louise Hay says about depression? Because I didn't do that. And I'm wondering, because I'm what I read and what I heard was it's basically, an awareness, a warning, like a moment when your inner light is feeling dimmed or inaccessible, and that it's not gone, and you want, and so you're opening up the space to bring it back on some level. Yeah.
Well, I think it's interesting to think about it. There's a level at which you're disconnecting from yourself. You are, or at least you're feeling disconnected. I think maybe that's the thing. Or it may just be alerting you to the fact that there's some level at which you're not staying connected with your source and with yourself. And so there's a couple of ways to look at that. So maybe there's some kind of misalignment. Maybe there's some kind of something going on that needs to be addressed. Sometimes I think we just need a moment to reorganize, to allow whatever's going on to move through us, give ourselves a resting point, whatever that is. And that's part of what's happening. It's just a declaration of, I got to take some time here.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And as Shay says, it definitely has a purpose. So what does one do when they become unaligned like that?
Well, I prefer lying down and going to bed, personally. I think at some level there are those times when we really just need to check out at a certain level. But that doesn't mean completely stopping. Sometimes it just means stopping the normal stuff. Maybe it means getting out and exercising to get things moving through the body so that whatever it is that feels kind of stuck can start moving again. Sometimes it means we need to literally rest. And sometimes it means we really need support because something isn't flowing through us properly, if you will, because of whatever, because of a stuck belief, because of an experience that we can't quite understand or get through, whatever it is. And it doesn't, depression itself, as I think Shay indicated before, is not wrong or bad. It just is. And that's another thing about it, is remembering it just is.
Thank you, Michael. It says that Louise Hay says, anger you feel you do not have the right to have. Hopelessness.
That's interesting. Anger you feel. Well, and I can see that a little bit. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. That sometimes, the other way depression has been described is it's anger itself, which follows that exactly. That's anger turned inward, and so then it becomes part of the depression, and I think part of the feeling of depression starts to evoke these other thoughts that we're not somehow worthy, that we are less than, which begets a cycle. A cycle of, well, if that's all true, then I don't feel very good about myself, and it just, you literally spiral into a more depressed state. So that makes total sense. And it may be anger at someone else or something in the world, or anger at God, kind of idea. I'm angry that such and such happened. Well, if I feel like I don't have the right to express that anywhere, then where else can it go? It's going to get stuck in me.
Well, yes, and I think that not only the stuck in you, but I think that all of this is making me think about the world in general, and stuck as a collective pattern, especially in these times when there's so much going on that people are feeling and concerned about and scared and all of those things. And, and so,
Well, I think when you talk about the collective, there can be sort of a tendency to sort of see everybody sort of check out in a certain way.
Right.
Because it doesn't seem like there's anything that can be done. It doesn't feel like whatever. And I know for me, sometimes that's sort of where depression is like, I can't figure out what to do next. I can't see what I'm doing, and it doesn't make sense to me. And my brain is not allowing me to try in the moment. And I think as a collective, there's sort of that pattern too sometimes, where as a whole we're wondering. And I think we've seen it with the various activities of ICE. I think now again with attacking Iran, I think there's a whole different set of feelings around that. And what do we do as people? How do we proceed forward from these points?
Yeah, and I just want to say that too. If we're looking at it through that lens of oneness, then it's not only a one person event. It's a human landscape. It's part of the landscape that's showing up around the world.
And it's also a message, just as we discussed earlier. It's
Absolutely.
also a message like, okay, maybe our thought pattern about how we live our life, how we live together, how we build community, those things need to be adjusted. And our willingness to step up and risk certain things needs to be adjusted now, because otherwise we aren't going to get where we want to go.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to share with you. Shay says, allow. Seems counterintuitive, but it's the only way I have found to alleviate any kind of imbalance or suffering. If suicidal, definitely seek help.
Absolutely.
And then she goes on to say that she is classically trained psychotherapist. Depression is a way different than reactive sadness or grief about the state of the world. It can turn into depression if it persists. Yeah, absolutely. And yes, and I think people are also depressed about things going on in the world. I know people that are not able to function on the same level just because they're running other concerns and priorities as priorities in their head, in their life, or however that works. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So where do we go with that? What? Because it's easy to talk about now that spirituality, that depression is a spiritual awakening. It's an awareness. It's an alarm going off to alert us. It's the dark night of the soul. It's all of those things that in theory precedes
some kind of
movement and expansion and get clarity and breakthroughs and transformation. And so but when you're in it, nobody's thinking about that. When you're in it, I can't convince you that, yay, something bigger's coming. Not that I don't try, but I can't do it like that. And
no, because yes, particularly when we don't even have some understanding that it's possible that it's just a message, that there's just something there for us to learn. But I think that's true in so many things. We have experiences in our life and we are convinced that they are bad in reality. You have a car accident, it's bad. You have a divorce, it's bad. And it may not be comfortable, fun, or exciting, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It's something that happened, and now what? And I think depression is really the same. And as I've grown to understand the world more that way, I can work with it because I can allow myself time to feel it, knowing that I don't have to hang on to it forever, knowing that I don't have to believe everything I'm hearing in the midst of it for myself. Even though some of those tapes are running, it's sort of like, okay, yeah, there's the background noise. And no, I don't feel like pretending everything is okay right now. But I can do that in an hour or two.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm thinking about.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, I have a lot of different thoughts in my head. And Shay said, getting to the root cause of the depression is where one goes from here. Yeah, I agree. And it's not always a direct shot. It's like there's that time and space that you really need to, as you said, kind of process the what's happening, because we can tell you today that depression is, it's an awakening, it's an invitation to the greater good and to all those things. It's the universe trying to tell you something, to slow down, to listen to what the truth is and what it holds and all of those things. And in the moment, you don't give a damn, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, I can't really remember many an instance where I've said something like that to you on the first shot and you've been like, oh yeah, that's right.
I could have had a VA.
So let me be, let me come back. Because I mean, and again, I'm asking as much as I'm telling, because my best experience of depression is with another person, not with myself. Because I know for me, like if I have anything that appears like depression, yeah, I am able to go, ugh, whatever, I just want to watch a movie, leave me alone, and then I'm okay. Because my body, my consciousness, my awareness, whatever it is, my program goes, I don't have time for this. I mean, that's the way most of I'm like, I don't have time. At some point I have to come out, and then there's all these things I didn't do while I was depressed, and that makes me more depressed. And then I go, let's just buck up and get up. That's just the way I work. So I don't know is my point. So I'm asking.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of how to answer that.
Shay knows.
Shay knows? Okay, good.
Shay will answer it in the meantime. Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
talk about what's going on with someone. Yeah. Meditation can bring up depression. Okay. That's where we're going back to. All right. Perhaps because it feels lonely to somebody. Perhaps I don't know why that would be exactly, but that is very interesting.
Well, when you go within and you listen, you don't always hear what you want to hear. Sometimes it's another directive about something you feel you need to do. I think, let me start with this. I think the key to all of this, if possible, is that when depression hits, whether you can, however you get out of it, whatever you do, if you can remember that it is a call to gentleness. It is a call to breathing and being kind with yourself, because as anyone who's been depressed knows, that's probably the beginning of going down the dark road, right? So I think when you go into meditation, sometimes that opens up the space for you to hear.
I don't really know. I think it's an area I have no idea in at all. I believe it. There could be some stuff to learn there, but I don't know anything about it, and I'm not sure what I'm talking about. I mean, I don't
You
think
don't
I
have
want
to.
to go there. I just saying I'm
Yeah.
not sure I want to go there. But I can say that it, in actually having depression, it's sort of sometimes this overall feeling that everything is sort of under this this blanket. Everything's under this blanket of sadness or feeling outside or whatever it is. This thing where it, and so everything that comes in gets filtered through that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really the interesting part of it. And so over time, for me at least, I've just been able to increase my awareness and notice more when it's creeping into that kind of a situation, and it's not just a particular thing that's happening. And then I try to increase my exercise and do things that I know support my body in moving feelings through. And I think that's partly what it is. That depression is that place where it feels like the feelings are overwhelming. There's too much feeling going on. For me, anyway.
Shay says it's a lack of dominion in spiritual language.
A lack of dominion in spiritual language.
Meaning that it's a lack of being able to take ownership of your stuff, like of control. I'm asking Shay what exactly that means. That would be how I interpret it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think what I've noticed in friends and people with depression, I mean, some of you have had it a very long time and you've got a bigger handle on it. But what I notice about people when they're getting depressed in the beginning is that and especially too when they're on a spiritual path or in the beginning of spiritual teachings or whatever that looks like, is that they tend to blame themselves for not being able to do it right. Why does my life look like this when everybody else is so happy or so successful or so whatever? And I think what's important is to realize that it's not depression does not mean it's a normal. Not normal. Depression does not mean it's a moral failure. It's not that you're doing something wrong. Yeah, and it's not a sign of weakness, and it's just part of the spectrum of emotions that we all hold being human.
But I think that concept of tending to judge oneself, that act contributes to the depression. That contributes to the whole thing. I think often there's a tendency to compare with others, to really, have judgment of self based on who knows what. It could be based on judgment you experienced from teachers or parents in the past, and you've absorbed that into your own thinking, and now you think that voice is your own even. And so that type of process is really sets forth this, again, it's a cyclical thing, but the more we get in touch with the reality that my life is right where it needs to be, that everybody's life is screwed up at some level. I mean, certainly screwed up from the perspective of the way, we think it ought to be. All of us have things in our life that we think that's not what I wanted, or that's not what I thought, or that didn't go the way I thought. And then it's a matter of living through that and figuring out if there's ways to address it, how we accept it, what's good in it, all those kinds of pieces, which I think are the spiritual things where we go, oh, life is what it is. Now what?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's part of the thing is what it is. It's like being present to what is. That's the whole journey of this metaphysical thing. Can we be in the moment and not judge it and remember that it's all part of the oneness?
And yeah, go ahead.
I just want to get to Shay. Lack of control. It's not a conscious choice. You can just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. It's way more involved than that. I also do not recommend meditation.
Medication.
Oh.
Medication. So I will just say I think there's room for all of it. It's all spirit.
Which is
whether there's medication or not. I can say that what has worked for me is something that takes the edge off of the depression enough that I can get to the place emotionally and mentally that I can begin to walk through some of the things we've been talking about here. And there was a point where I couldn't get there. I was so underneath that blanket that I didn't know, I couldn't find a way out. And if just that lifts a little bit, it gives some room, and then I can start to entertain some different thoughts. And as that happens, it changes things. Well, that can happen through prayer, through doing lots of, I don't know what. It can happen through many different ways. And I think one of them is the potential for medication. Is it what I think everybody should run to and do right off the top? Not necessarily, but I think it is a possibility and should be considered. But as with everything, some of the stuff, anytime we're putting something in our body, we have to think, well, okay, how is that going to affect us? Besides perhaps the way it's supposed to. We've all heard the ads for any kind of pharmaceuticals that will probably be dead if we use them. So yes, there's a downside potentially. And so we have to weigh that and evaluate it. And that's true with, our diet. We eat things that we shouldn't eat, probably, most of us. And if we adjusted those, they may have a significant effect on us. They certainly can, physically, emotionally, all those things. So, that happens everywhere in our life.
Yeah, I just want to share a little data that I found, because I think that depression is so personal to everybody, and yet it becomes easier to talk about metaphysically when we can anchor it in real world data. So what I found is it's widespread and deeply connected to disconnection and emotional suppression, and it's shaped by collective conditions, not just individual psychology. And here's some facts. This is from 2022. 280 million people worldwide lived with major depression disorder in 2022, which is about 3.8% of the global population. 121 million new cases of major depression occur annually. And in adolescents 10 to 19 years old, they have a 5.7% global prevalence, showing how early this pattern starts emerging. It also says that women are twice as likely as men to experience depression, that 1 in 3 women will develop depression in their lifetime. That's a lot.
Yeah, and that other number of only 3.8% of the entire population, uh, but yet 1 in 3 women will. Of course, and then again, they were saying major depressive disorder, which is different than having some form of depression disorder, I think, from my understanding. So, you know, but still, it's still a hugely significant number.
Well, and that was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
That was 4 years ago, and I'd be willing to bet you it's a little higher this year.
Very possibly.
Very possibly. I mean, without even naming names, just based on everything that's grown in the years, and the other things that are at play. So, in wrapping this up, thank you, Shay, for all your expert opinion. And
well, here you go. I would like to offer a joke.
Because Shay said it's no joke.
Yeah, because Shay said it's no joke. I'd like to offer. No, that's not why, but maybe that's what triggered the idea of joke in my head. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But you said that we need to wrap this thing up with something, and so I was reminded of my joke my father used to tell. So this is a dad joke, just so you know. So this guy goes in to see the psychiatrist, and he says, "Doc, no one pays attention to me." The psychiatrist yells out his door, "Next!" See, it's a bad joke, but it's about the concept of just how crazy this world is, how crazy we are. The simplest things. But I see you laughing inside.
I'm laughing because I'm thinking about what I was going to say next. I was thinking, yes, folks, I live with him. And this should go on the award I should get for not being depressed. So anyway, but it's true. I mean, not being seen, loneliness, all of those things, that anywhere where we're feeling a sense of separation.
Yes.
Is where this takes place. Any place that we're not feeling a sense of separation. So
or where we are feeling a sense of separation.
Yeah. So
it talks about some of the things that support us, which are having a strong, what did it say? A strong plan. Something that's calling us, that we're connected to, a strong call to life of some kind, something we're creating. And then also physical movement and exercise are hugely supportive in this moving through this kind of thing, or in perhaps allowing us to process our feelings before they get to that point is maybe even more accurate.
Absolutely. And so what we say first and foremost is, if you're feeling anything like this, or if any threat to yourself or anyone else, please call somebody, please see somebody, please seek help. If you're looking for spiritual tools to go deeper, then talk to a minister, a practitioner, a spiritual friend, whatever it is, because it is very, very serious. And if you're able to just do some calculating and reorganization in your mind, then just remember, it's a call to being kind to yourself, to being gentle, to opening up, to allowing things to move through, and to if it's the dark night of the soul, to get to the light, to find the lights. And it's a time where you're making space for it and honoring its, the presence of the darkness, and that remembering that even in the darkest moments, you're a part of something larger and you're held and you're not alone. And that's what's important. So I want to thank our psychotherapist, our resident psychotherapist, Shay, for being a part of the show, and our degreed Michael in transpersonal psychology and a master's degree in consciousness studies, and Gil with his psychology degree and consciousness studies. And
we what all this comes out to is that we all have a degree of understanding. I think that's the key here.
Or two.
And you can determine what degree of understanding we have.
So most important, if you know somebody who's depressed, rock the love. That's what we're here to do.
Rock the love, be present, support them in finding someone, direct them, to somebody that can direct them. Just support them in the process and be there and love them.
Yeah. And let them know they're not alone. And you're not alone. And we're not alone. And we're so glad you're here. And as we tell you every week, rock the love, everybody, because the world needs it. And you all are so good at doing it. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us.
Rock the love, everybody.